Be sure to check out Rob Plays. There you can hang out with me while we play video games and talk about life stuff. So as we continue our discussion on our comic book concept series and how to kill the X-Men, we pick up now with Quicksilver, Wolverine, Archangel, Jubilee, Forge, Chamber, Phoenix, and Polaris. Now, for those of you guys who have not seen my last video on this, which you'll find in the description, at the conclusion of the Onslaught saga, which focused on the minds of Xavier and Magneto coming together and forming a psychic entity, because Onslaught had laid waste to the Marvel Universe, Charles Xavier had outlined a set of protocols designed to hinder or kill members of the X-Men should they go awry and use their powers in a bid for world domination. So focusing on Quicksilver, because his powers combined with modifications from the High Evolutionary allow him to run at speeds of up to 7,600 miles per hour, since the effects of friction and wind resistance play no part in his movements while running, he presents himself as a difficult foe to oppose. This, combined with the fact that his super speed extended to his mind as well, meant that in addition to extremely fast movement, he's also capable of analyzing situations at extremely fast speeds, sometimes even countering the actions of his foes before they're aware that he's present. That said, despite these abilities, Quicksilver has no protection against conventional weapons aside from his speed, meaning that his skin can be pierced in the same capacity as a normal human. Barring someone shooting him with a sniper from 100 yards away, the best means of taking down Quicksilver comes in a wide-angled attack which can blanket a large area with energy, meaning the Cyclops is best suited due to his optic blast being capable of achieving this feat while also emitting enough energy to completely eradicate Quicksilver. Transitioning to Archangel, on the surface, his powers seemed lackluster in comparison to the rest of the X-Men's lineup. Possessing physical wings that allow him to fly, because these wings were augmented using the celestial technology of Apocalypse, his original powers of flight were enhanced owing to the metallic structure of his wings, making him more aerodynamic. This, combined with the fact that his training as part of the X-Men allowed him to protect his mind against psychic attacks and control maneuverability to the point that his agility rivaled Beast, means that not only can he fly, he's also extremely difficult to manipulate psychically and is very difficult to catch. As a result, the metallic projectiles shot from his wings can easily pierce the target, exposing them to the projectile's dose of neurotoxin, rendering the target paralyzed temporarily. However, the downside to this is that Archangel's wings also respond to his subconscious mind, indicating that he does not have complete and total control. To this end, the best person capable of defeating Archangel is actually a couple people. Using her powers of telekinesis, Jean Grey could render him immobile with Wolverine severing his wings from his body. Following this, Archangel would be a normal man capable of being killed with any conventional weapon. Moving to Jubilee, she presents a credible threat despite her abilities prior to losing her powers after the House of M. Possessing the power to emit plasmoids that range from blinding flashes of light to concussive blasts capable of destroying physical objects, Jubilee also possessed a natural immunity to telepathy, making her impervious to the effects of telepaths regardless of their level. As a result, and through her training as both a member of the X-Men and student of Emma Frost under Generation X, her control over the powers she possessed were incredible, allowing her to force the plasmoids into the mind of a human or mutant, simulating a stroke. With this in mind, the best person suited to defeat Jubilee comes in the form of Bishop. Because he's capable of absorbing the powers of other mutants and channeling them back, with his power being passive, Bishop does not have to concentrate. Instead, his body will automatically absorb Jubilee's powers whenever they're used, allowing Bishop to engage in hand-to-hand combat, easily overpowering Jubilee due to his superior strength and training. Now moving on to Forge, because he has the power to intuitively know how objects function and retain his knowledge without degradation, the powers of Forge should play no part in a foe's desire to destroy him. Instead, emphasis should be placed on his physical body. With Forge possessing a mechanical leg and a mechanical arm, the metallic nature of these constructs proves to be his weakness, and that because Polaris possesses all the same powers as her father Magneto, she could simply rip Forge's mechanical limbs off, leaving him with only one arm and one leg, making him easy prey. Now picking up with Chamber, as one of Marvel's most powerful X-Men, he presents an extremely difficult situation. Because his physical body does not actually contain organs and instead houses energy equivalent to a nuclear bomb, if his physical body were destroyed, he would continue to live on, jumping from one host body to the next. This combined with telepathic immunity, as well as telekinesis being useless against pure energy, means the regular roster of X-Men would find themselves incapable of going toe-to-toe against Chamber. To this end, while Chamber cannot technically be killed, the best means of defeating him comes through Cannonball. While Sam Guthrie's most prominent use of his powers takes place through projecting himself in a forward direction, much like Negasonic Teenage Warhead from the Deadpool movie, the thermochemical energy he emits is not limited to projectile flight. Instead, he's also capable of emitting his power in such a way that he can encase and imprison others, meaning Sam could destroy the physical body of Chamber, after which he could encase Chamber's energy form until such a time that the X-Men can make a decision on what to do. Transitioning to Polaris, as the presumed daughter of Magneto, her powers mirror her father's, but to a lesser degree. However, the length at which she can manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum remains the same, and that she's capable of controlling metallic objects, generating EMPs, create electromagnetic force fields capable of blocking most forms of energy-based attacks, as well as allow herself to fly. However, despite her time with the X-Men and X-Factor, Polaris does not have training in psychic attacks, allowing her mind to easily be accessed by someone of sufficient power. As a result, the best person suited to defeat and kill Polaris comes in the form of Jean Grey, whose telepathic and telekinetic powers are largely considered to be the most powerful in Marvel Comics. To this end, Jean Grey could easily dominate the mind of Polaris, shutting down her ability to access her powers, or else placing her in a comatose state, allowing Polaris to be killed by any number of conventional means. Now moving on to Jean Grey herself, despite having Omega-level telepathy and telekinesis, Jean must still focus these powers on a target to actually achieve a desired effect. In addition to this, despite her training as part of the X-Men, emphasis was placed on her telepathy and telekinesis, meaning she has no real skills in terms of hand-to-hand combat. As a result, the best person capable of defeating Jean comes in the form of Quicksilver. Using his super speed to analyze the situation as well as engage Jean, Quicksilver could move faster than Jean can predict, meaning that by the time she was able to focus her telepathy and telekinesis on Quicksilver, he would likely have already engaged in a barrage of attacks, rendering her completely unconscious. That said, if we were to assume that Jean possessed the Phoenix Force at the time, then everybody's just kind of basically screwed. Finally, and picking up with Wolverine, this bit requires us to ignore the death of Wolverine's storyline where he was encased in adamantium. Assuming that we focus on the nature of his healing powers, Wolverine is immune to virtually all forms of injury. Even with the Days of Future Past when his physical body was destroyed, Wolverine returned to life due to his adamantium skeleton keeping his brain physically protected, allowing for his healing factor to remain intact. As a result, Wolverine's death would have to occur in a couple of stages. The first would come through the use of a carbonadium sword, a material resulting from Russia's attempt to recreate true adamantium, as well as someone skilled in martial arts. To this end, Wolverine could actually be killed by a non-mutant in the form of Deadpool. Because Wade's actions in killing Wolverine were so highly popularized in the Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe story, with carbonadium neutralizing Wolverine's healing factor, Deadpool could then sever Wolverine's head from his body using an adamantium sword. Because of this, and since Wolverine cannot regenerate a full body, his death would be guaranteed so long as both the head and the body remained separated from each other. With that being said, as far as I'm aware, unless somebody knows other information out there that I may not have, this is the totality of the Xavier protocols. There's no more protocols on this. So I'm kind of curious. If you guys have questions, or if you guys are curious to see a discussion on like a versus series, characters fighting each other, or if you were interested in seeing how superheroes would be killed even though they're not part of the Xavier protocols, post them down in the comment section. I'm curious to see what you guys come up with, and I will catch you all later. Peace.